This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 902 of Horse Tip Daily. A different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you, one day at a time. Greetings, horse people. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Today's tip is an excerpt from the Horsemanship Radio Show here on the Horse Radio Network. Host Debbie Laux is joined by FEI Dressage judge Charlotte Bradal, who talks about her most commonly seen fault while in the judge's chair, tension. And we'll get right to our tip after this nutritional minute from Kentucky Performance Products.
Hi, Glenn the Geek here from the Horse Radio Network, and I'm here with Karen from Kentucky Performance Products with a sensible supplementing tip of the week. And this is part 2, talking about senior horses. Last week we talked about the ones who can't keep weight on, and this week we're talking about everybody's dream horse, the Easy Keeper. Now, sometimes that causes its own set of problems, which we're going to talk about today. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Glenn. How are you today?
Okay, so when we talk about easy keepers, we mean seniors that don't have any trouble keeping weight on, but yet that has its own set of issues, doesn't it?
Well, it does, because, people call us all the time and go, my gosh, what am I going to feed this horse? He lives on air.
We have one of those.
I know, you have one, beaker.
Yep.
And it's really frustrating. Again, like we talked about last time, it's so important for these older horses to have enough fiber in their diet. And, if you have a 1,000-pound fat little quarter horse, how do you feed them 20 pounds of hay a day? And, you need to try to get at least 15 to 20 pounds of hay in them. And what most people do and what they've figured out is that you have to buy a lower quality hay. Of course, with lower quality hay, you have to worry about mold and dust and so on. So it's really important to find a source of somebody that will give you a mature Timothy or one of the other grass hays that doesn't have as much energy per pound in it, and get a good mature source and have that in front of your horse all the time so he has that long-stemmed hay to chew. Many of these older horses, senior horses, and horses that are easy keepers cannot tolerate much grass, if any at all. So there's a couple of things, and also they can't tolerate a lot of grain. So right there you have some big holes in their diet, because hay only has so many vitamins and minerals in it. And then, of course, the more mature hay, which is what you want to feed these guys because they don't need the energy, has even less vitamins and minerals in it. So the important thing to do is to find a good, balanced vitamin mineral supplement that you can add to their diet. Some people are fortunate enough that they can get one of those like light feeds, and they can feed enough of that. If you feed it at the recommended level that they tell you to, however many pounds that is, usually it's around 5 pounds a day, then your horse should be getting the complete complement of vitamins and minerals. But if you can't feed the recommended amount of concentrate, say if you're feeding half or if you're feeding, a handful of grain a day, then your horse is not getting the vitamins and minerals he needs. And you have to provide that. You have to fill that gap with a vitamin and mineral supplement.
We would have that. Geez, if we fed Beaker 5 pounds a day, it would be the size of a house.
Yeah. I had a quarter horse that was like that too, and I was competing him. So it was a real challenge to try to get the vitamins and minerals, and he really needed it. And when horses just eating hay alone, you start to notice that their coat starts to get dull, and they just don't look very good. So if finding a good, well-balanced vitamin and mineral supplement will really help. The other thing that's very, very important and is missing from a horse that's eating an all-forage diet, especially an all-hay diet, is natural vitamin E. And natural vitamin E, the research is becoming more and more apparent through the research that horses really need this nutrient. It's an essential nutrient. It would have been in their natural diet in the grass. It's an essential nutrient. They don't make it themselves, so you have to provide it for them. And if it's not there, then horses will have lots of problems. The vitamin E is an antioxidant that supports all the systems in the body, and if it's not there, then horses will have a lot of trouble. So it's important to give your horse a vitamin E supplement as well.
Now, we use, for Beaker, who's our very easy keeper quarter horse, we use Microphase, which is a Kentucky Performance product.
Yes, it is. And Microphase was developed specifically for that purpose. You know, I was like, okay, what am I going to give this horse of mine that, you know, can live on air? It also has natural vitamin E in it, Microphase, and it's very important to use natural vitamin E. Many feeds and supplements will use synthetic vitamin E, which is a petroleum-based product, and it is not absorbed as well in the horse as natural vitamin E, which is plant-based. The synthetic vitamin E has a much more complicated molecular structure, so it's not absorbed as well. So you want to look for a natural vitamin E when you're looking for a vitamin E supplement.
And that's Microphase. And you have a second one, too, that could be beneficial for the older easy keeper.
We do. That's the Elevate Maintenance Powder. And that's a natural vitamin E. And it's you just feed 7 grams a day, which, you know, it's hard for people to relate to what a gram is, but it's this tiny little scoop. And one jar lasts 130 days. And you need to feed around 1,000 to 2,000 IUs of natural vitamin E a day to a horse that's on an all-forage diet. And it's just hanging out. You know, if they're exercising, you have to increase it more, because as the horse exercises more, their antioxidant requirements go up. But for a horse that's just hanging out and doing light trail riding, just 1,000 to 2,000 IUs is sufficient.
Terrific. Well, you can find out more about both of those products at Kentucky Performance Products. Their website is kppusa.com, and they have some terrific articles in there also under the Tips and Topics section. And we also encourage you to follow them on Facebook. Just search for Kentucky Performance Products, because Karen is always putting all kinds of good information up there, too, about horse health and nutrition. And you can find it all, again, at kppusa.com.
Charlotte, thank you. This is the Horse Sense with Charlotte Bradall Baker segment, and we would love to have your insights on what are some of the most common problems that you see when you're judging horses in dressage.
I think tension, many times you see in the horses, and what I'm always looking for is harmony. I want to see a horse that looks really happy in his work, with confidence in his rider, and where there's a nice elastic connection from the rider's hand to the mouth. And a lot of times you'll see that is too strong, and because of that, the horse will go behind the vertical or open mouth, or, you know, with mouth issues. And we see, I think, too much of that. And I think that's one of the things that riders really need to strive for, is that nice, like rubber band, elastic connection from the.
So you judge for the harmony. Mm-hmm. Is that being taught out there, Charlotte, or is that something?
I think it definitely is, and just not by all. You know, just like in any discipline. I just don't think it has much to do with the discipline. I think it's just each individual trainer.
Yeah, and this is something that is reflected in the behavior of the horse as well?
Well, yeah, because you'll see tension, and you'll see different, usually mouth issues, that the horse is opening his mouth or going behind the vertical line and trying to evade the bit because of hands being too strong, or where there's just not enough give in the rein.
Yeah, and you feel as a judge that you can reward these harmonious gestures.
Absolutely, you certainly can. Yes.
Do judges talk about these qualities? Do judges confer with each other? Yeah,
all the time. That's one of the things I love about judging, is that the discussions we have are just fantastic. Yeah, so we do all the time. On every break and dinner and stuff, we discuss all these things, and it's very, very educational for all of us to get each other's, feedback.
Right, and you're living in both worlds right now, so in shape and able to compete, but yet to be in the industry long enough to be granted a license to judge as well. That must be a small club that you're in.
Well, the International Judges Club, yes.
Mm.
The national,
Congratulations.
we have quite a few, but I've only been judging internationally for the last, I think, 5 years now. Mm. So that's been just a whole new world to get into that. And of course, it's very, very interesting to judge around the world. I judged in Australia earlier this year and in France. And very, very, very interesting. And also in the different countries, the styles can be a little bit different too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, congratulations for that. For all that you've accomplished, I want to have you back, and you can tell us more about some of the travels that you've got coming up, which are pretty exotic. Thank you, Charlotte Bradall-Baker, for being with us today.
Well, that's a wrap. To listen to more tips on everything from barn care to websites for horse people, just go to horsetipdaily.com and look for the topics drop-down menu on the left. You can listen to the Horsemanship Radio Show every week at horsemanshipradio.com. And now you can have all of your favorite Horse Radio Network shows with you wherever you go with the free Horse Radio Network app for iPhone and Android. Just go to your app store and search Horse Radio Network. This podcast has been brought to you through the generous support of Kentucky Performance Products. You can find them online at kppusa.com. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.